garlic. I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like this.
Like a lot of women do it, man. A lot of women do it. Like I know.
If you even rub garlic on your face, it burns your face. So imagine your vagina that's so sensitive. Wow. You ready again, Marks? All right, guys. So we had to take a quick break. This is part 2 of our conversation with Dr. Monique Brown and Netania. And we're talking all things vagina. We're talking about the vaginal health and the misconceptions, things to do and things not to do. Things not to do is to put garlic inside of your vagina. Okay? So, Doctor, let me just pick up where we left off. Now, let us talk about discharge. Yes, the vagina discharges itself, I'm sure. And so what are the different colors of discharge that women should expect, and which ones or ones is or are healthy?
Wait, quickly.
If none healthy.
So I had this written down.
Good.
Because
See?
I saw a picture where this girl was in the bathroom. White woman, of course. I'm not saying that black women don't do it because I've seen black women say these things. I just never see the picture. And she took a photo she's on the toilet up, and she said, "Look in my underwear. There's no discharge." Some of you girls can't say that.
Oh yes, I've seen that a lot of times too.
And I'm just like, okay. And then I see people tweet about not having discharge. I say, oh.
And I think men also. Before Doc comes in, men also, I think, contributes to women thinking that they're not supposed to have any form of discharge because, men sort of ridicule women about seeing, any form of discharge in their underwear or whatever the case is. But you should discharge,
Why am I looking at my dress?
If you're maybe married or whatever the case is, men have joined in on that conversation, even on that same picture.
Times, yes, that's true.
Oh yeah, you're clean or whatever the case is.
And these are the same men sniffing underwear, so I don't take them seriously.
Some men are sniffing underwears as well. Okay, so that, you're supposed to have a discharge, yes.
Right. So the vagina has a natural lubrication discharge, which typically is gonna be thin, clear, or white. And the truth is, each individual should know what is a normal discharge for them. So if when you start seeing an abnormality in a discharge, then you should be concerned. So am I going to use myself for this example? No, I'm not.
Right.
So the vast majority, a healthy female will have a thin white discharge. Won't really necessarily soak the underwear. It won't have any offensive type of odor. Depending on where you are in your cycle, it might be a little bit more than the normal. So when it comes to closer to ovulation, it might get a bit more sticky. I even did a video on it, to be honest. Right. More of a sticky egg white type discharge when you're ovulating. Just before your menstrual period, it might be to start changing color. You might start having metallic type of odor, tangy scent, or you might just have that musky type of scent because it's an organ, it's skin, there's flesh there. So the concept of being odorless and without this discharge or anything I think that has been one of the main reasons why a lot of women started having problems because they thought something was wrong, and then in an attempt to solve this problem that wasn't a problem, they created some problems of their own. So they either started to douche, they started to use some kind of feminine wash, something which started to throw off the pH balance, and then the host of problems would have arisen afterwards.
So what are some I feel like I'm in the Bible. What are some of the irregular colors? And if you see those, that might send an alarm to you and that you should go and get that checked out.
Okay, cool. So, if you're seeing something that's closer on this yellowish side, actually you should get it checked out, especially if you're not accustomed to seeing it. So you might have like a faint creamish color discharge depending on where you're on, in the menstrual period.
Right.
doesn't have an odor, it doesn't have any itching, burning, pain during sexual intercourse, these type of things, then I'm not so worried. But if you have any of those problems, then it's something to look into. If you have a green discharge, that green, so if you have a green discharge, obviously that something is wrong.
Right.
Definitely need to check out, see what's happening. If you have a gray discharge, something that is frothy looking, then those are possible vaginal infections that we need to look into.
Okay.
Then a common color that women might get confused about is right after their menstrual period that they might start having a dark red or brown discharge,
Mm-hmm.
which basically just means that your period is ending. So
Right.
again, unless you're having something very offensive, the rotten fish, it's just like a bad odor,
Mm-hmm.
or you're having burning, itching, abdominal pain, discomfort, rashes, accompanying any of the other discharges, then
Mm-hmm.
if those are there, I really don't think there's anything significant to worry about. And it should not be aimed to not have a discharge.
Right.
Right? The aim is to find out what your normal discharge is. So once you know what normal is for you, then you
Mm-hmm.
can easily identify what is abnormal.
Okay, love that.
I have a question. So when you were talking about odor, going to all
Mm-hmm.
girls school, but we're all like experiencing puberty at the same time, basically, except me. I was elite. A joke. I just had PCOS, so I never experienced puberty till I was like 16,
Right.
and so a lot of times, you can smell
Mm-hmm.
things, and my question to you, Doc, is if everyone is supposed to know how they are like naturally, because no two women will be the same, and that you're saying maybe different from like what other people smell like. Is it possible that people can be unaware of what them smell like,
Oh, good
especially
question.
down there, because other people smell it, but for you it could be, you always smell like that, so you
You're
don't
just
think
very
anything
immune
of.
to it, no?
Yeah, so you're
Yeah.
immune to it, so you don't think that anything is wrong with it. So I just need clarity on that, and I
Well,
think
that's a
people
good
do
question, and
too.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that is actually a really good question. Um, Typically, a healthy female, another person wouldn't necessarily, be able to smell their vagina from, well, being like in close contact, of course. But if something is wrong, maybe they have really bad BV, or they have poor hygiene, because that's one of the things that could contribute to it. If they have poor hygiene, and this doesn't mean that they're not, you know, um, washing their vagina properly. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about, for example, someone that really doesn't shower as they should because maybe they're more active, they sweat a lot, they don't change their underwear frequently, they don't wash it, put it in the sun, um, they don't wipe front to back versus back to front, because back to front is like bringing germs from your anus all the
Anybody
way
who
to your
work back to
Well,
vagina.
say that
front
again,
is
doctor,
a
for me, please,
serial
because
killer.
that's also something that I think a lot of women, especially young women, they're not, or they weren't taught about that. And this is also
Right.
something that I've seen on social media a lot of time. The woman supposed to wipe front to back.
Front to back.
'Cause if you
Yeah,
wipe from
front
back
to
to
back.
front, that means you have bring different things into your vagina.
Yeah, bring everything.
Right.
Right, because they're completely different organisms that
Mm-hmm.
reside in, your back passage there
Right.
versus what is normally in the vagina. So bringing the tissue or whatever it is from the back to the front, you're actually bringing germs forward. So that can also cause vaginal infections throughout the vaginal pH. So those are some stuff, and those are just basic hygiene stuff that some of us might get caught with, because it's really easier to wipe back to front. If you think about it, if you're sitting on the toilet, it's kind of easier, but that lazy technique is going to cause more harm than good.
Right.
So for those persons who might have, vaginal infection, whether it's really bad BV that hasn't been treated, a sexually transmitted infection, poor hygiene, whatever it is, and they really have that bad offensive sense. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's quite possible. It's quite possible. Do they really not pick it up? I'm not sure if I can technically speak on their behalf for that part.
Right.
True.
But I would say that yeah, you can possibly take note of that odor. Yeah, it is
Okay.
very offensive, especially if they have like a really heavy discharge with it.
Okay. So you've kind of touched on this a lot through the previous questions, and so now there's an increase in douches, unipearls, boric acids, pills, all sort of steams. Me see you sit down over the pan of water and the steam with the petal, lilac, Cinco Bible, hibiscus, all sort of things. Every dolly know, every dolly wants steam out them vagina. I know the answer to this, but just quickly, should they be using these things?
No,
See, all right, good. Hear that,
no.
dollies? Yeah,
It's a
no.
no. And welcome to my TED talk. So let's start. Let's start, right? We already said no to douches, and we spoke about that at length. Vaginal steaming. First and foremost, what are you steaming? These steams are saying that you're steaming the womb. First and foremost, let me show you this quick. This is the vagina. This is the cervix. Then this is the neck of the womb. This is the womb.
Mm-hmm.
This is closed. So you can't steam your womb, right? That's 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 the first thing. The second thing, if you are prone to having vaginal infections, especially yeast infection, steaming is heat, hot air. Yeast likes heat, it likes warmth, it likes moisture.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're steaming, what that is going to do is to put you at increased risk of having recurrent yeast infection, right? Then I know that for quite a number of these steams, they're using some type of herbs. I honestly don't remember, but there are different herbs that they use. These herbs can be one quite, what's the word that I'm looking for? Layman's term. They can more than likely irritate your vulva, the outside
Right.
and the vagina, right, because you don't know what type of herbs they're using. So I've heard persons who said that they steamed and they started having burning, rash, itching, all abnormal sensations to their vulva, which is the outside of the vagina after steaming. So it's not recommended. You don't need to steam, right? I definitely do not need to steam after sex or after your period. I don't know where that came from. You don't need to. The vagina is gonna clean itself. After your period comes out, your discharge will go back to its regular once you don't have an infection, right?
Okay. Yeah.
In the unicles, yeah, it's some kind of herb wrapped up with cotton. Again, what are you doing with that? That makes no sense.
So basically, there are no or none of these products, none of these steams or anything should not be used. No.
No,
Okay.
no,
All
and
right.
I wouldn't recommend that any female uses it. If your doctor recommends that you use it, well, I guess that's a discussion between you and your doctor. I don't.
No, me have to change doctor, you know.
Uh,
I will
another
comment on that, but it's a no.
another thing is I know that this generation is so obsessed with fruits, pineapples and watermelons, and you know them always say the more pineapples you eat, you know it makes the vagina taste sweeter. So a lot of women now want, you know, diced pineapples and diced whatever,
Pineapple for the
like a
pom
fruit
pom.
bowl, right? No, does that really happen?
Tastes like diced pineapple. No, you're not gonna taste like pineapple. Consuming
Okay.
pineapples or fruits are healthier versions, but you're not supposed to taste sweet or like sugar or whatever else the thing it is. It's not gonna taste. You're not gonna taste like pineapples. You're going to consume better food and overall you will have, more nutrients passing through your body. So if you start eating pineapple versus regular KFC and Burger King, then of course, your sweat is gonna be different. Your body odor will improve, but no, you won't taste like pineapple.
I mean, them just want to taste sweet for the man, them. No, and it's just the truth. Like, a lot of women want men to give them reviews afterwards to say, babes, you know, say it's good. And I mean, you don't
But
have
it
to
don't
taste
work.
like pineapple
It
to
don't
taste
work.
good.
Me don't like
Just
this.
drink some water before.
All right, next question for you, Doc. All right. So some women, they're very insecure of their vagina because of razor burns and spots from shaving and all of that. Are there any products that you can recommend that can boost a woman's confidence and remove spots and prevent bumps when they're doing hair removals?
So I'm biased with regards to this particular part of it. When it comes to body and pubic hair. So the general concept is you do not need to wax, you do not need to shave, you don't need to, do not use Nair like ever. I don't care whoever says that they use Nair. Look at the bottle. It tells you that it's not supposed to be used
It does.
in your. It legit tells you, right? Yes. So I've had persons with burns because of Nair. One of my friends fell asleep with Nair down there. So you can just imagine what happened.
Wow.
Yes. So when it comes to having these razor bumps, the reason why you're having the razor bumps is because you're shaving. So one of the best ways to get rid of the razor bumps is to stop shaving. I know you're gonna say that you want a bald cat and all of that. And no, pubic hair is not gonna make you have an odor or discharge or anything like that. You really just need to trim it down really, really low and have it all groomed to be completely fair. For persons who tend to have razor bumps, if you give yourself like a 3 month break, you tend to realize that the dark spots and you have less ingrown hairs and stuff like that. Because all of those are really because you're constantly shaving, waxing. That is the best option.
So what about lasering?
Laser in the bikini era, sure. I don't have a problem with that. Because I'm a wax fan, but that's I think my response is option. Like if you find that you're having recurring ingrown hairs, razor bumps, stuff like that, the best option is to take a break because it is that constant friction that is causing them at the end of the day.
Right. All right. Now about pap smears. How often should a woman do pap smear? Netania, let Netania answer the question, the first doctor, because yeah. So how often should a woman do pap smears?
Once a year. But from what I've heard, and Doc can confirm, is once you're like either reach 18 years of age, or more than likely people say when you're sexually active. I hear myself on top of it. It's crazy. Yeah. So, but I say when you're sexually active.
Sexually active. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Doc, quickly, how often should a woman do pap smears, and how important is this in a woman's health?
Okay, so the rule of thought is every 3 years you should have a pap smear done, and this is once you're over the age of 21. So this is because the pap smear is really screening to see if you have any abnormal cells on the cervix. And we showed you the cervix earlier. This is for early detection for cervical cancer, right? There is this virus called HPV, human papillomavirus, which is the main cause of cervical cancer. And it's extremely common, and it's a sexually transmitted infection that typically under the age of 21 you would Like your body just rejects it, and you should be fine to overcome it. But for some persons, your body won't get rid of it, and then that can start causing the abnormal changes on the cervix, which can cause cervical cancer. Pap smears are very cheap, they're very effective. It's not painful. The doctor
It's
can
very
actually.
comfortable.
Yeah, again, maybe a doctor could have used a water-based lubricant, as I said, and the positioning of the legs, passing the speculum towards the back. These type of stuff really make a big difference. And they just take a little scraping of the cervix and they send it to the lab 6 weeks to get back a result. And as I said, typically it's every 3 months, 3 years, sorry, every 3 years that you would have a pap smear done. There was some abnormality. Again, the result would tell you if you need to repeat it in a year or 6 months.
Okay. And also you spoke about
No,
go
I
on
have
it.
a quick question.
Yeah.
So you're the first doctor to say every 3 years because I hear every year, which is why I said it so confidently. I normally come look a flat now.
Yeah.
But why do you say recommend every 3 years?
Right. So every 2 years is actually the recommendation based on the most recent studies from the American Gynecological Association. And that is because of their follow up for, you know, cervical cancer awareness and stuff like that. I think one of the reasons why we have continued to say just do it every year is because one, nobody does it every year. Two, the time frame for a lot of us to get back the results tend to be so long and extensive in a public setting. Yeah, I know that some persons would have done a pap smear and 6 months later they might have gotten back the results. And with regards to just if you have had a pap smear before and it was again normal, it is recommended for 3 years, as I said, not yearly.
Okay. Love that.
Abnormal, then the recommendation is different. But just screening purposes, yeah.
All right. And also, can you just let these people know who are watching that not all STIs, the symptoms would be shown, especially for a woman. Now, there are some STIs, based on my knowledge, that you might not see all the symptoms, or you might not even know that you have something. Is that true?
Yeah. So you can be symptom free of HSV. Sorry. Herpes, right? So herpes simplex virus, like that's like a very very popular sexually transmitted infection that people don't know that they have, right? And then as I said, HPV is one that you can also have. Then you have the vast majority of the others that you will have some type of discharge or symptoms of. For women, I think it all boils back down to if they understand the difference between them having a yeast infection, BV, or sexually transmitted infection. Because the vast majority of the time, they think it's a yeast infection when it's more or less mixed with some other germs.
Okay. All right. And the final question now, and I made sure to save this one for last. Is it beneficial for women to have sex on their periods? And I know, yes, me see a laugh, doctor, because I did tell you that I was going to ask this question. And, some may say, maybe I've said that, a period only stop a sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, period just stop sentence, that is it. You understand? But in our culture, a lot of people, and I do understand the reason of not wanting to have sex on your period. However, you can do it in the shower, you can do it in a large body of water, and you won't have, any blood or anything like that. Now, is it beneficial though for women, health-wise?
So yes, there are benefits, and
That's all I need to say.
so there are potential benefits, And I'm just going to give a disclaimer. It is not risk-free. There is no point in time that you can have unprotected sex and there are not consequences. So you can always contract a sexually transmitted infection. You can always get pregnant at any point because it really depends on when you ovulated. So it's played during your menstrual period.
Right.
Fertility does remain. So the concept is that having sexual intercourse during a period can also help to like relieve period cramps, increase, just the blood flow to the womb, help with your mood, you feel a little bit less depressed, and it can also stop the period a bit earlier, right? Now, it is not for everyone. We know this. It has to be a discussion between both partners.
Yes.
So if you are comfortable with having, sex or just an orgasm, because you could always masturbate on your own. It's up to you, really. It should be a discussion between both partners where they do understand, the risk. And at that point, you would know that you have some added lubrication because there's quite a bit of lubrication there.
I love that part.
I mean, it is true. Am I telling you that you should go and have period sex? No, I'm not. I'm saying that the option is there, and you should, if you're going to have sexual intercourse at any point in time, you should be comfortable having these discussions. And gone are the days where people are just having sex and they don't talk about it. I don't understand why in Jamaica we're so afraid to speak about these things. A woman and a man should be able to discuss, or whoever your partner is, really, it doesn't matter. Whoever your partner is, and my apologies if I went off, you should be able to discuss whatever you're going to have. And it should be an open discussion. You should be comfortable having these discussions. Because if you're not comfortable having a discussion with the person, I'm not sure how you'd be comfortable having sexual intercourse with them.
Actual factual, yes. But doctor, so I saved the best question for last. Yes.
Yeah. With a disclaimer here, that part also means speaking about sexually transmitted infections. You should be able to ask, when was the last time you had your HIV test? When last you did any type of test for sexually transmitted infections? How many partners you've had? These things should be spoken about, and hopefully people can have more open discussions, because at the end of the day, if you're sharing your body with someone, you should know what you're getting yourself into.
Actual factual, and I must say though, Doc, thank you so much. The time that we agreed that we would have been on, it was way over that, but it was for a great conversation, right? And I must say, thank you for also using your platform and your knowledge and your experiences to share, not just with your patients, but also with social media. We're all learning as we go along. Nobody don't know nothing, everything. So, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for using your platform for the greater good. And I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much, and it really means a lot hearing this right now.
Yeah, man. Can you just tell us where we can follow you?
Right. So my social media handle, TikTok, Dr. So that's VOCTOR.NIQUE, and Instagram is Dr. Neek, so DOCTORNIQUE. No post up there. YouTube is also Dr. Neek. So those are my main social media platforms.
And thank you once again, Dr. Neek. I do appreciate you for sharing. And thank you so much for being on Bwoyatingzpodcast. All right? Have yourself a good day.
All right. Thank you guys so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing this episode.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you. Oh, my God. And as layman as possible.
Yeah, and then she actually remembered the question, so it's not like she was straying from it.
Exactly, I love
that. Catch it like straight.
Sometimes she come yeah, I was saying it to myself. May I say, hey, that girl, that makes sense, Because even when she kind of go off sometimes, she come back with it and be like, oh yes, Girl makes sense. All right, so that was our discussion with Dr. Monique Brown. And I must just say, Netania, it was a really good discussion, to be honest with you. Like, I learned a lot. And I must thank you also for being here and you know, them like something there. But what we need for there's a lot of notes that I have here. By the way. But I write, like, I'm in a school, Mr. Martin, I'm a professor, I write down the notes. Them. No man, I saw me learning, you know, right? What was something that stood out to you that you said?
Honestly, what stood out to me, I'm not saying like the pap smear.
Pap smear thing?
Yeah,
what, every 3 years?
Every 3 years because I've been wasting my time doing every year. Once a year. And the results, them take long to come for true. Right. So when I tell them, I say, wonder if I did me, I never can't send it back yet. Yeah. You know? So I appreciate that knowledge. I know I can not put myself through that discomfort every year. And to be fair, like I catch myself up on vaginal health and sexual health, like conversations a lot.
Yes, this we know.
So a lot of the things which just me say, man, I know this, and I even go to my way to ask my doctors, you know, them something they come. He's a girl, me love a doctor. Like I don't know if it's because of my father. I'll if my wrist hurt me, our eyeball me, I say, you know, me, I got a doctor. Like I go to the doctor for everything. I even went to the doctor one time the other day and my doctor laughed after me and he was like, you don't need to be here.
Like, miss, you don't need to be here, but I thank you for your money.
No, I true, but I can tell you no, because it's very embarrassing. But my doctor laughed after me and me, I say, you're coming for everything, you know me. I said, like, so it go. So I do ask my doctor lots of questions. So, like, you know, she's just like,
I just kind of reinforce and reiterate everything.
So refresh my look man and them some of the.
But I kind of like the part about the pH balance thing because, you know, that's a discussion that I've seen far too often on social media, and people are just misguided.
Really
I think, and Google is there, and also the actual factual, and also the period sex thing. Although we might joke about it a lot, it actually benefits the woman as well, right? Because you know a lot of women have like severe period. Netania, for great. Lots of women have like severe period pains, and that can help reducing that. Yeah. So
and I think it's because. I should have said this earlier, and it's because we see it as unclean. See periods as unclean. So when people say, "Oh, period sex," but when people say period, it's not but sentence, and you laugh. But
which is actually
some people
true.
are actually doing it, and a glass. So she say it to
right, and it's just the thing that she also pointed out that from we even know herself, they've always said it that women on their periods they're unclean and they're not supposed to even go to the church or cook. Like I've seen this. In the Bible, I've heard this in the church before. That back in the days, them that say, you're up on your period, you're not supposed to, eat, like go around people. You're not supposed to be cooking.
And funny
and I think
enough,
that is the problem.
It is. Yeah. So like these things that have been building in our minds for such a long time. I'm not gonna lie, we reach a far way, but it's gonna take a longer time. We still have a longer way
to go.
Yeah, to get rid of those stuff. Because when I was in prep school, I went to the religious grounds of a certain religion that I will not call. And they were explaining to us that when women are on their periods, they can't be in the house for the time. They have to stay away from them husband. I mean, I said, imagine me and the boy married. And once a month for 7 days, I forgot to start cheating. You have left the boy, I'm a friend of mine who going to stay inside. And, it was so interesting at that time. Because even though it was like, early 2000s when girl did younger, so... But I'm like, you really have to pack up your things and leave for a week. Because,
can you imagine? And just go somewhere else.
Cycle.
This is foolishness.
Yeah, but I come back in
And also, I love the part that she kind of broke down. She broke down the different types of discharges and what do they mean, all of that. So I love that as well. I love that she touched on the yoni products because that is so popular now. Like, the only thing is outside, and everybody wants
all of the wash them,
all the washes and all of that. But that was it for our vaginal health conversation. It was really insightful, and I learned a lot. And I do hope that the viewers, the listeners, they can walk away with a little more knowledge on things, or kind of debunking some of these misconceptions and myths. Yeah. Netania, can you just remind us where we can follow you and all of that? Yeah, watch out, girl, forget.
I came here as like a, health conscious guest.
Right, guys. Yeah.
You can follow me on Instagram at NetJenna, and I just bare foolishness over there, so. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's richbadnet. Yes. Bare foolishness over there too.
What about your YouTube?
My YouTube channel, it's coming back. It's coming back in the works, so you can follow me.
And your TikTok.
You can subscribe to me at NextGenner, TikTok NextGenner too. Over there, some funny, you know, I'm not gonna lie. Look at TikTok, them are going.
So TikTok NextGenner,
Yeah,
YouTube
so everything
NextGenner.
is NextGenner except Twitter because it's
Twitter,
Rich Badness.
which is Rich Badness. All right, well, thank you so much once again. Martin, big up yourself. And that was Bwoyatingzpodcast. You know, thank you always, Netania, for being, you know, always open to come and share your knowledge and your insights and things like that. And I appreciate you always.
This is my first time being on a podcast and not being ignorant and dark.
It wasn't an ignorant and dark type of topic. Yeah, well, you know, big up yourself. All right, guys, so that was our discussion about vaginal health. And I did tell you guys that we're going to talk about everything vagina, right? And personally, I learned a lot. You know, Netania being here, you know, as a woman, I wanted that, you know, aspect of it and that essence of just, you know, just to kind of see, although Net know everything, clearly, but, you know, just kind of reinforced. And also she is, you know, someone that has been diagnosed with the PCOS thing, and you know she's sharing her journey and her story, and that I really have to commend her. So you know, thank you to Netania for being here. Also for Dr. Brown, you know, I've seen her work. Somebody actually recommended her, and I had to get her on the show, but not ask Christ, had to. You know, she explained these things not like a doctor, but like, you know, somebody that just have sense and just tell you the things them, and I love that for us. I do hope that we can kind of debunk some of these misconceptions and myths about vaginal health, especially the yoni things and, you know, the very much taboo period sex and, you know, STIs, STDs, the infections, the bacterias, you know, all of that. I think not just as women, also as men, we need to unlearn and relearn these things so that we can better care for the women in our lives. All right. So until next time, this is Bwoyatingzpodcast. Remember, this episode was produced by the Bombcast. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and you know, comment in the section and all these things. I would appreciate it. Until next time, it's Bwoyatingzpodcast with Kareem Bwoyatings. Thank you for watching.